a patriot, who with him standing up to like Black Lives Matter radicals. He's amazing. So we're in good company. I love you, Nick. I really do love you. I can't wait to see you.
So this is the intro.
Oh, so this is your intro.
Yeah,
okay, so really quick, guys. This woman moved to Washington, D.C. with her husband because her husband is a musician. He does like Indian, Middle Eastern. On Facebook, so
everybody, we are tuning in. I got a special guest in here. We're gonna have some really fun in the studio today. Click the share button. There's my monkin in the room. Welcome, everybody. Make sure you click share. As you know, Facebook does not like me and they don't want you to hear me. That's all the reason you should click share. That's all the more reason you should let people know that I'm live, because if Mark Zuckerberg doesn't want you to hear what I'm talking about, you probably do want to hear what I'm talking about. So
Mark Zuckerberg is a communist from hell.
Who is that even saying that? We're gonna find out in a minute. We're gonna find out in a minute. We have special guests. No, I like the teasing. I like the teasing. Yeah. We're teasing them over here. So click the share button. Thank you for sharing, Karen. Welcome. So glad to see everybody. And we're we have two special guests tonight, you guys. So it's gonna be a good time. We got some great topics to talk about. And we're just busy making America great. That's what we do, you guys. We make America great. I know everybody's freaking out about this SCOTUS seat. Guess what we're not going to talk about tonight? SCOTUS seat. We're not freaking out about it.
You know what? Goodbye, Ruth Gator Bingsburg. God will let you know what you did right and what you did wrong. And unfortunately, you are directly responsible for the death of millions of late-term abortions. So I kind of feel like God's going to be a little mad with you, but I do feel sad for your family, and like I have compassion because whatever, you are a human. But yeah, sorry, not sorry. Yeah. Bye, girl.
I am just happy that people will stop asking me if she's actually dead, because that for like 2 years, everyone's like, "Is that really her?" I'm like, "I don't. It's really her." I had to go keep checking.
Have you ever seen Poltergeist?
Yes.
You know the part where the mom falls in the muddy pool?
Yes.
And like the coffin's open? That was Ruth Gator Bingsburg.
Yes. Yes. So, Chris, thank you for sharing.
Love you, Ruth. God bless you. Let justice be served. Let eternal justice of the Lord and God judge you. We don't judge you, but we're really glad that your seat is open because it's time to get ruthless.
So, I want to thank Chris for sharing the link right here, fightback.law. That is the link that you can share. You can continue to contribute to the legal defense of Kyle Rittenhouse. As we know, Kyle Rittenhouse, a great young American patriot who defended himself appropriately using the Second Amendment, protecting businesses in Kenosha, and is being targeted and demonized by the left. And we will not let them get away with it, nor will we let them undermine and defeat our constitutional right to self-defense. So
that music is talking over us.
Yeah, this is because that's the intro.
That's what we do.
Girl. Yeah, because you know why we do that? We do that because
it lets people join.
It lets people join and share. Everybody, welcome to the show. My good friend and patriot Ryan, Lady MAGA USA.
Yep.
In the raw.
I'm just Ryan. Really quick, let me just show you on my t-shirt because it's not showing. Lots of gays back Trump. Right there.
Yeah, see, that's required.
The only LGBT label that I like. Lots of gays back Trump. Follow the third Pete Gomez. He's a creator of these shirts. I am not paid to say that. I just love him, and I will see him in Texas on the 26th. But yes, let's get going.
So now, I don't know if all of you know who Lady MAGA is. If you don't know who Lady MAGA is, I don't know if you've even been watching my page at all, because as you know, I love Lady MAGA. We went live actually at CPAC this year.
Yeah.
We had a great time doing CPAC interviews.
CPAC was the last, those were the last days of normalcy in our country. The next day after we left, literally the pandemic communist muzzle enforcement started. So those were good times.
And let's talk about CPAC a minute, because I think we made a real splash, because one of the things that we in the LGBT conservative community actually are doing is continuing to make inroads in supporting our Republican values, our conservative values. And this is something that we talk about a lot, right? Actually, because some people misunderstand that if you're gay or if you happen to be a drag queen and entertain as a woman, that this means that you somehow support the leftist agenda of the LGBT community. And you are actually the most, let me just say this, you are actually the most opposite of that. You are one of the largest and strongest advocates I know for the nuclear family, for moms, dads, raising kids,
Alpha,
for all those
straight,
traditional
Christian
values.
white men. We love you.
Yeah. So explain to people why you feel that one, why you support those things, and two, how are you using drag to do it? Because that's what I think is really exciting, that you're using this form of entertainment that has been demonized and debauched by the left, we're taking it back from them. You're taking that back.
So, oh my gosh, that's a whole lot to explain. Number one, for me, the reason I'm a drag artist and I love to dress up and have a good time is because I am a theatrical person. I love Barbie. I love Disney princesses. And I'm sorry, but the roles available to men are just so boring. Like, where's the glitter? Where's the fun? Where's the sparkle?
I mean, Aladdin has those curly shoes. That's about as good as you can get.
Yeah,
that's it. That's the limit.
So for me, it is simply a wonderful opportunity to be theatrical and make people smile. It is not about sexuality for me. And I feel like if you've ever seen the film To Wong Fu, Thanks for Everything with Patrick Swayze, he really represented what drag and dressing up in a drag outfit can be. It's supposed to be about sharing love and sharing light and making people laugh. Yeah. But the key is I'm in on the joke.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Explain
it to them. It makes sense to me.
I am not a transgender person. I am Ryan. I am a biological man with a hairy chest, and I got me some hairy legs.
He does. He's got hair legs.
Whoa, hair legs. Yeah. So for me, it honestly is just about expression and joy, and I have no agenda behind it. It's just what I love to do. But the mainstream drag community has turned into a tool of the leftist radicals.
Right.
And
this is important because they've done this with feminism. They've done this with the entire gay community.
The Democrat Party.
They're doing it to the Black community right now with BLM and with these forces that try to control and manipulate these identity politics groups. And this is, we're not doing that. Each and every individual, I don't care if you're gay, you're straight, you're Black, you're bisexual, you're trans, you're a unicorn, you're goth, you're like, I don't care what you are. You have the right to vote, to have your citizen governance, to have your constitutional liberties. And I will stand up for those constitutional liberties every single day of the week. I know it's so glary, but every single day of the week and twice on Sunday. And you know it.
The message is like, just 2 days ago, we had tacos in Washington, D.C. with an evangelical, like a militantly evangelical Black guy.
Yep.
Named Ralph.
Yeah, y'all know Ralph.
Yeah, he's super like evangelical Christian. He actually believes that homosexuality is wrong. I don't know how he feels about drag. It might be a little different, but
maybe. I don't know.
He and I had a conversation, and I was like, listen, this is America. As long as you believe in my freedom to put on a dress and sparkle and let it go, let it go. You know what I mean? Like, I love to be a pretty princess. As long as you support my right to do that, I support your right to completely oppose homosexuality religiously. Legislatively, that's a different question. I don't think we should have laws dictate what people do in the privacy of their own homes.
I agree.
But if your evangelical church thinks that homosexuality is wrong, honey, that's fine.
Well, and
because I can go out and say, I disagree with that church. But once we start silencing evangelicals and we start silencing people who disagree with homosexuality, it's a slippery slope. And then we start silencing people who wear a MAGA hat. And mark my words right now, on airlines, they're going to ban this hat.
We'll talk about that.
So silencing any speech, even speech you completely disagree with, like me and Ralph, my evangelical friend, who hugged me, by the way, like we're besties.
You see?
It's a slippery slope. Free speech means all speech. It means terrible speech. And in my opinion, it means the N-word said by white people, because black people in hip hop get to say it all day, and if white people say it, it's terrible. I don't like it.
To be fair, if you're singing along with some songs, sometimes a lot of people accidentally say it, you know. And then you see them in the car when they're driving by. See them. I'm just saying, you see them in the car when they're driving by and they're singing. You can see the song, and then you see that like say the, and then they like look to see if anybody.
I know.
So, but Ryan, it says right here in the Constitution, and to your point, they're very clear.
I love that you have the Constitution ready to go, girl.
Always, right here, always.
Suzzanne. That's why I'm staying in your house and I'm eating your food and I'm petting your kitties. But one of your kitties is literally psycho. She flirts with me. She's like, "Hi, I love you." The little one. And then I touch her and she attacks me. Look at the injuries, people. Look at the injuries.
He's been meowed. So it says very specifically, Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of a religion. This is exactly what you're saying. You support the right of every individual to believe what their faith,
whatever they want to believe.
But the government doesn't believe a faith. The government doesn't establish a religion. It also, and here's what's so important, and this is what we agree as well, or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. So you are free to exercise your religion. And that's what the founders gave us. The founders gave us a system that allows each individual to engage in citizen governance, regardless of faith, regardless of life choices, other than, you know, obviously imprisonment, and we can even talk about that. But obviously you can be different races, you can be different colors, you can be different creeds, you can be different faiths, you can be different ideologies. But when it all comes down to it, our rights to speech, our rights to faith, our rights to citizen governance are all protected the same.
And our rights to horrible speech, our rights to offensive speech, it matters. Why? Because when somebody comes out and calls me an FAG and says terrible things about me, or Black Lives Matter says that white women like Suzzanne should be killed, which they do, obviously we disagree, but I will defend their right to say that until my death.
Yeah, I just don't defend the right to do it. That's the whole part.
As long as they are not calling for a direct act of violence, all speech, no matter how terrible it is, must be protected, because the beauty of our country is the marketplace of ideas.
Yeah, and that is exactly right. What the solution to speech you do not like is, as you know, Ryan,
speak out against it.
More speech.
And
that's what's so important. Exactly. So I want to get your opinions. Obviously, you and I both agree that drag queen story time has been used to exploit our children.
Like, stay away from my nieces and nephews.
And to literally start to try to groom and prepare children for accepting pedophilia. And we have a lot of patriots in our movement that stand against that. And here's what's so cool, including a drag queen, Lady MAGA.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you about Drag Queen Story Hour. Okay. First of all, drag is a fringe thing. Like, if people enjoy it, they should be able to enjoy it because it's America. That's number one. Number two is, why is a public library the appropriate venue for a drag show? Okay, that's a question. Now, if these people were dressed up inappropriate tasteful costumes, doing drag queen story.
And we talked about like Mrs. Doubtfire, like the movie Mrs. Doubtfire. How adorable, totally
exactly. Cool. So if they were dressed up as Mrs. Doubtfire, or if they were dressed up in a beautiful outfit, completely covered, neck to ankle,
or like Disney character. I mean, we can't obviously use Disney characters, but you know
what I mean. Like
that could be
they were
tasteful,
and they were reading a traditional fairy tale or whatever.
Yeah, I wouldn't have such a big.
I would have an issue that they're in a public library, because drag queens are controversial, and it should be by choice that people interact with the drag queen. Right. It should be their choice.
And tax dollars shouldn't go to things that are controversial.
If you walk into a stinking library and you're there with your kid to read, Where the Wild Things Are, or, Ramona the Pest, or Anne Frank's book or whatever, then you don't need to be there with a drag queen. And this is where we have a major issue, because these drag queens are not in there to present something magical and theatrical. They are in there to indoctrinate children and sexualize children by teaching them how to twerk. We've seen the videos.
And to normalize and to put the idea in their head to start thinking about maybe they themselves have gender dysphoria. And unfortunately,
they're pushing
that idea in the children's head, and you have more and more kids who start to become confused.
And they're literally stripping. Granted, they're stripping down to their tights with a thong, but guess what? I am the uncle of 56 nieces and nephews. Okay, Mormon. Like, let's just say it. I'm a Mormon.
But you have a lot of nieces and nephews.
You ever twerk or teach my nieces and nephews to twerk, which is a sexual imitation of sexual intercourse, or you strip in front of my nieces and nephews,
a library.
I will mace you. I will mace you. I will get my bear mace. And girl, I tested it on my balcony. When you get that bear mace and you push the button, it goes like 20 feet. So you know what? But if you were just doing a little thing and you invited people to go, and parents who wanted to go went, and you were 100% dignified, dressed appropriately, just doing a theatrical presentation, I wouldn't have an issue. But that's not what y'all are doing.
It's
the agenda behind it. And that's why I left the LGBT cult. I left the radical drag queens, because these people are sick. They are pushing a leftist, socialist, anything goes agenda. And they are deliberately doing Drag Queen Story Hour to indoctrinate our children, to confuse a little boy. Let's say a little boy like me. Granted, I loved Barbie. I love Cinderella. I love all the girls stuff. They're telling little boys like me, oh, wait a minute. You like things that are not for boys? Then that means you should castrate yourself.
You're a girl.
You're a girl.
What they're telling me.
You're a girl. You should not go through adolescence. These drag queens are literally telling people that adolescence, puberty is a choice. Are you kidding me? So let's say
when the statistics show that 97% of children who are diagnosed with gender dysphoria as a child naturally evolve out of that during puberty. 97% of the time changes that, cures, I guess, that gender dysmorphia. So we cannot, in any good conscience, accept a world that is trying to push the idea that you're the wrong gender on young children who do not have the ability to make that decision. And here's what's so annoying. Here's what's so annoying, right? I think this breaks my heart as well as it breaks your heart. We take this world of play. Remember, we grew up in the world of Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. We grew up in the world of all of these fun things where dress up and play and characters and, all imagination was a wonderful thing.
That's all fun and games.
And what we're doing now is sexualizing that. We're taking that away from our children. We're taking that idea that you can play dress up. And, I grew up, I taught kids, but I also grew up, there's always a dress up area in the kindergarten, the first grade and second grade with the little kitchen.
I used to get in trouble for putting on the dress.
But that's the thing. That was the area for it. And as a teacher, I didn't tell kids what they're going to wear. I'm not trying to tell kids this is boys' clothes, this is girls' clothes, because you just let them play.
Yeah.
Because I knew as an adult, because I've seen many children, that this is a point of exploration. Heck, my little brother thought he was a dog for a week.
Hold on one second. Somebody just said it's turned into cuties.
Yes,
exactly.
It's turned into
It is not
cuties.
just the radical LGBT cult that is pushing this.
Yeah.
It is the mainstream leftist culture that is pushing this.
Yeah. And you see that with their attempt to continue to change the LGBT flag. And actually, we have, where do we have our, over here we have, we've fixed that flag. We fixed our flag.
Okay, now this I will add an asterisk.
Yeah.
The reason the reason drag queens are not for kids is because the leftist radicals have taken over the art and theater of dress up, of presenting a theatrical, glamorous, fun man in a wig. At the end of the day, that is harmless. That is theater. That is fun.
Right.
The reason mainstream drag queens are not for kids is because they have hijacked drag, and they are trying to take adults only, disgusting, sexualized performances into public libraries, and they are not performers. They are not artists. They are activists pushing a sick agenda on my nieces and nephews. When I dress up, I'm sure you've noticed, because I'm a Mormon drag queen, basically. I dress like a lady. I cover myself. Everything I do is very appropriate for a general audience, rated G. And drag queens have the right to do their raunchy, filthy, whatever shows in an adult nightclub.
That's right.
The problem is they are bringing it to the libraries in front of my nieces and nephews. And
your tax dollars are being
paying for it. So they're out of control. And if any gay person or drag queen is watching this, could you please just wake up and leave the left and join the right? And if you're a gross drag queen who loves to do explicit whatever, do it in your nightclubs. 21 and over, have a good time. But do not bring that filth into public spaces. And if you want to dress up in drag, like pride parades, for example, everybody's afraid of me because I'm a drag artist and I love to dress up. But everybody's afraid because they've seen the parades with drag queens like waving phallic objects, dressed like Russian evil demonic prostitutes. And they're like, oh no, I can't associate with Lady MAGA. And I'm like, girl, listen, I am the anti-LGBT radical drag queen culture. And by the way, a lot of you probably watch RuPaul's Drag Race. It's very entertaining. But since it started, it has morphed into a political propaganda machine. Pushing transgenderism on innocent children. Because here's the thing. If I had been born in, let's say, 2010, okay, and I was 10 years old, to leftist parents. And I'm like, I want to wear a Cinderella dress. I like to play with Barbie. Instead of saying, we got a boy who likes to play with these things. And when we'll buy a Cinderella dress. You can dress up at home. What would happen now is those woke leftist parents would say, we have a transgender son and you're 10 years old. So we should give you drugs that prevent your biological puberty and mess up your brain for life, emotionally scar you, castrate you.
So let me ask you your opinion on Desmond is amazing. We all know Desmond is amazing.
Desmond is amazing.
I believe that is child abuse going on. What's your thoughts?
Desmond is amazing is a tragic, disgusting display of child abuse and manipulation. I saw a video with that little boy with these two adult men. One of them was the man who the movie Party Monster with Macaulay Culkin was patterned after, like the storyline was his life. He was a murderer. And on the painting behind them, they literally had the date rape drug in the painting. And this little child was sitting there like a zombie, repeating things in full adult makeup. Now, where are his parents? No parent should have their child on social media. Nobody should ever make money off of a little child. I don't care if it's a girl, boy, straight, whatever. Your little child should not be on social media. Right. You're sick. You're sick
putting
parents.
your child at risk to do that.
But they're not only, I mean, if he were dressed like,
he's being exploited. He's literally being directly exploited. And frankly, I'm concerned
exploited
that he's being given drugs inappropriately.
Why would he go live with somebody who has the name of a date rape drug on the wall behind him? 1. 2, they're not dressing him up as a princess. They're not dressing him up as, you know, Dora the Explorer. We're talking bare midriffs. Yeah. Sexualized adult makeup, high heels, and they are parading him around places like RuPaul's Drag Race, the Drag Con in Los Angeles. Let me tell you about Drag Con. They creepily have an area for kids and family. Well, what they don't show you is as these kids and families are walking through RuPaul's Drag Con, they're being exposed to S&M, leather, adult sexualized people parading their adult sexuality, wearing basically nothing. We're talking nothing, like pasties, a tiny little thong with their buttocks exposed around all these little kids. I went to RuPaul's Drag Con once, and once was enough. I realized y'all are sick. Yeah. And Pride Parades is the same thing. So Desmond is amazing, is an abused child. Take it from this drag queen. I cannot believe what is happening. And if that were my nephew, I literally would show up and probably put like a flaming bag of cat poo on their porch to distract them while we rescued Desmond and took him to social services. Although nowadays, social services would be like, he needs hormonal therapy drugs. We should castrate him.
We got problems.
And he would be separated from us. No, literally, you guys, Desmond is amazing. Mainstream drag culture is disgusting. I'm an artist. I love to dress up. I love to make people smile. Yep. And I am tasteful. And I always make sure that what I do is for general audiences.
Well, I have a question. One of our viewers is asking what our opinion of the Cuties movie is.
Oh, no.
And it's very similar. What it's actually doing is grooming young girls to be sexually exploited.
It's the same thing.
Same thing.
Yep.
And Cuties, frankly,
I can't even believe that we're talking about this. Like, frankly, oh, really? There's a show on Netflix where little girls, and I read an article about the storyline. And the storyline is little girls sneaking behind their parents' backs
to engage with older men in these sexual fashions and explore their sexuality.
So here's what I want to say. Not in my name as a gay man. Right. Not in my name as a drag artist. Forget you. Get the hint Satan, literally, because they are exploiting the LGBT movement. They're exploiting the gay movement, and that's why so many gay people are completely waking up and saying, are you kidding me? Cuties? Really, you're going to justify that in the name of diversity or whatever? No. But
let's say this, because I can't help it. I mean, we both are wearing our "Make America Great Again" hat.
Yes,
Ryan, yours a rainbow. Now, so obviously, you are a big Trump supporter, and I would like your perspective as a gay man and as a drag artist on why you love President Trump so much. I mean, I know why I love him. Everybody knows why I love him, but you tell everybody why you became a Trump supporter and what makes you support our president. I mean, you go, let me stop before I let him talk. He goes, this man does more work to support our president than almost all of you combined in a day. Okay, because it takes about 4 hours to become Lady MAGA. So when he does an event as Lady MAGA and she's all in her glamour and glory and supporting the president and supporting our country, supporting America First principles, in order for you to do it, like I put on this t-shirt and a hat, I go to the rally. Okay. Yeah. You spend 4 hours. Exhausting. You spend the whole day tucked in, taped up, glued in, shoed together. Like it's
my uniform.
It is a labor of love.
I always think of the men at D-Day, and I highly doubt they wanted to get in their uniform and go fight. And I don't always feel like taking the 4 hours to transform into Lady MAGA, but it is a uniform because it is the ultimate middle finger to the leftist radicals.
Yes.
So
tell me why you would go through all of that
for to support
our president. Yeah.
Well, Donald Trump and this may sound weird. It might sound like I'm in a cult or something, but Donald Trump is quite literally right now the savior of humanity.
I agree.
He is the one and only powerful world leader who stands up for freedom, who stands up for rational thinking, who stands up for all of us. So what a lot of people don't know is President, and I don't even care about this because the LGBT gay issue, that is not my priority. Right. I do not see myself as a gay homosexual who needs every politician to agree with my sexuality. What I want from a politician is, one, free speech. Are you defending it? And President Trump is defending it. Correct. Number two, are you promoting my Second Amendment right to defend myself? Again, it's a freaking Constitution, Bill of Rights. Yep. Are you standing up against the globalist agenda? Are you standing up against countries that would hurt us, such as China? Right. Like the reason I love President Trump is I guarantee if I were given the privilege of sitting down with him and having dinner with him and Melania, he'd be like, you do drag? Oh yeah, I knew a lot of drag queens in New York City. I'm from New York. You do what you want. That's great. He wouldn't care. All he cares about is my security, my safety, my economic prosperity, and my ability to achieve my dreams. That's all President Trump cares about. And he has made that apparent over and over. CNN will never show you that. He's the most pro-LGBT president in American history. He spoke out at the UN against countries that castrate, imprison, torture, and kill people like me. That's true. Obama didn't do that. I'm sorry. Barack Hussein Obama says a lot. I always use his full name out of respect for Barack Hussein Obama. No, but literally. And President Trump just sees me as an American. Yep. And there has never been a president who is not entrenched in the swamp. He doesn't give a crap. He's 74 years old. He could spend the rest of his life drinking martinis and playing golf. Instead, he's exhausting himself, getting up at 4 a.m, doing rallies, trying to promote an America First agenda. And an America First agenda means America first for everyone, whether you're black, white, Asian, a drag queen. And that's why I love President Trump. I love the man. I love him. I pray for his safety. And there has never been a moment in history when you look back. There have been world leaders before. There's been Julius Caesar. There's been other people, George Washington. They have never been up against what President Donald Trump is up against right now because of digital manipulation, because of the fake news media. And this man gets up every day and exhausts himself. Just keep in mind, he could have spent the rest of his life literally sipping martinis and playing golf. But he's out there fighting for you. And I don't care who you are. And if you're some LGBT radical, you just better be grateful that Donald Trump stood up for you at the United Nations.
We're making America great for them too.
Everyone. Everyone. That's why I love President Trump. I know you have a lot of things to get to.
Well, Ryan, I want to say, please let our viewers know, where can they find out more about Lady MAGA? Where can they follow you? He does. Lady MAGA has fantastic videos, all kinds of great posts, doing a lot of like regular content. You produce a lot of regular content.
All the time. I'm editing all the time.
So that, folks can really tap into what you're doing and your just message of warmth, patriotism, love, and that wonderful American spirit that we love so much about you. So tell everybody where they can find you.
Just search Lady MAGA USA. Don't forget the USA. So Facebook, Twitter, Parler, Instagram, YouTube. Just look up Lady MAGA USA. I work my butt off every day. And I have dedicated my life to this movement. I am not paid for what I do. I'm $10,000 in debt because I took out a Lady MAGA credit card because it's worth it. And I know God will somehow help me figure it out. But yeah, you can follow me at Lady MAGA USA anywhere. And I just want to thank you.
Thanks for coming. I love this one.
We've had way too much fun.
Too much fun. Yeah.
Awesome. God bless all of you. Please share Suzzanne's content. You have no idea. You have no idea the sacrifices this woman has made in Chicago, in Washington, D.C. This COVID pandemic has literally crushed her financial situation and her husband's financial situation. He is a musician. So their fight is exemplary of true American patriots, and it's an honor to be with you. And
love you, brother.
She's a comedian, and I keep convincing you to get back on that stage.
We got to get President Trump reelected and get the House back. So we're gonna work on that, and then we'll make the rest of the country great again.
We're all gonna help it go viral.
Yeah, we're gonna make the House Republican again first. That's what
right.
we're gonna do.
All right, I love you, and everybody watching on Instagram Live right now on my Instagram. I'm sorry I missed your comments. I've been on Suzzanne's live stream here on Facebook. I saw some of them. Real Shakina. She is a Black, gorgeous queen. She stands for our president. She does her makeup and just like provides glam and glitz for all the people.
That's awesome.
And California conservative moms, we have her and Bryson. California conservative moms are saying they love Bryson. Do you know who Bryson Gray is?
I think I do. Yeah.
Have you ever heard Donald Trump is your president, whether you like it or not? Keep that energy you have with Barack. No, it's amazing. So we are never alone. We are all together, and we have to keep smiling. We have to shine. We have to live in joy, because if we give in to the negativity or allow the leftists into our hearts and brains, we lose, because that's their goal. They will never, ever get in our brains. Right, guys?
Yeah.
All right.
Ryan, thank you for being on my show.
All right. Everybody, she's kicking me out. Everybody.
Lady MAGA USA. Lady MAGA USA.
Right. I love you.
Love you. Love you too.
And I'm so sorry. Next time. Tomorrow, let's go live, and I'll be.
We'll pop in with the beauty.
I need some
beauty
major
sleep.
contour.
It magically happens. It magically happens.
I've gained so much weight since COVID.
Just a music montage is how it goes. So, folks, we're gonna have our next guest on in just a second.
All right, so I'm just gonna check out. All right.
I am glad I got a chance to actually have Ryan here in the studio with you guys, so that you can really kind of hear what Ryan, what you can still hear him and finishing up his Instagram, so you can really get a sense of what Ryan's doing, why he's doing it. And I think it's important that people understand that, because it's certainly, for some people, it's an interesting, drag is like it's a leftist agendized thing, and I thought it was really important for you guys to hear the perspective of a patriot drag queen and someone who has used this art form in support of our president, and really kind of get a different perspective on what that's all about. But yes, this is a 2-guest show. I'm giving you like all the goods today. You should love me extra hard today. So we are bringing on in just a moment, coming in right now, my good friend and your good friend. He's been on the show before and talked about. Isaac was on during the shutdown times, Isaac, but he is running for advisory neighborhood commissioner right here in Anacostia. So Isaac, take a seat, pull up, and come on in. He's just getting now. If he looks a little, actually, you don't look tired at all. I'm actually impressed that you don't look tired, considering what you did today, because you are a EMT here in Washington, D.C.
Yes. So I was out being an essential worker and being thanked for my service all day, and dealing with some wonderful patients that I won't talk about because there's laws about that called HIPAA, and I respect people's privacy.
That's correct.
Unlike the people who wrote the Patriot Act.
Unlike the people who wrote the Patriot Act. But it does speak a lot, Isaac, to your commitment, your just love, and your willingness and engagement in service of Washington, D.C., your local community, and the people that live around you. And you're not just doing that with your day-to-day employment. You're not just doing that with your many efforts at political activism, organizing, and supporting other candidates. You finally decided, rather than tell other candidates what they should do to run for office, you decided to bite the bullet and run for office yourself. And now you're running for Advisory Neighborhood Commission right here in the 8th Ward. Tell everybody what that is and why you decided to do that.
Yeah, so to break it down really quickly, think of it this way. The district is a small square that pretends to be a state.
Mm-hmm.
And so
like the diamond on my
everything, right. So all of the business that would normally be taken care of at the state house level here in the district is actually taken care of at the city council level. Underneath the city council, we have what are known as advisory neighborhood commissions that basically serve the role as our local government. Now, these constituencies are tiny. There are 178 of these offices throughout the district. Constituencies range in population of 2,500 to 3,000 people. Again, very small. And the actual power of these commissions is a limited veto over zoning ordinances. It is necessary to have the approval of your local commission. This is huge.
Yeah.
To renovate your building, build a new building, or get your business license approved. Also, the commissions have a legal right to mandate inspections against businesses and homeowners in their district that are deemed to be a nuisance.
Right.
And this power, this power has actually come into local controversy in my area because there's a previous incumbent named Greta Fuller.
I'm glad you mentioned Greta Fuller because this is exactly what we're talking about.
This is
with the corruption, even all the way down to the lowest
right, and
level
this
of
is what I'm
government.
saying, right? Yeah, this is a petty little office. This is basically like homeowners association, only you get to vote for them.
Right.
And what she did was she runs. I forget the exact wording of the name because it's got a very similar name to a legitimate organization, but an Anacostia Historical Preservation Society, which is an unincorporated charity. And she would demand, because as you know, the ANCs, you need their, if you want to open up a business here, you need their support. If they aren't for you, you can't come in. And so what she would do is she would go around to businesses and she would say, hey, are you going to support the wonderful work that my nonprofit is doing? Yes, I think you should. I think it shows that you're really invested in the community. And the fact is that after years of on and off terror from her and from others, from various grifters who can't hold down real jobs, who are not pulling in real paychecks, what they have done is they have led us to a situation where within my little constituency, which represents in many ways it's the front door of the 8th Ward. Over half of our commercial space is vacant. You walk down MLK.
That's awful, you guys. That should not be in a city like Washington, D.C. with so many opportunities, with so much history, with so many people right here in the neighborhood, so many needs. We don't have a hardware store. There's so many
things and the world beating our door down to open businesses here. This is not Baltimore.
No.
Right? I'll tell you why Baltimore is really poor. It's very simple. Baltimore, prior to like the 1950s, was one of America's shipping centers. It was also the center of American textile manufacturing. Those were the two foundational businesses that kept the city prosperous and allowed enough people to have money to go and spend it at all the barbershops and the concert halls and everything else. But that was to Baltimore what the auto industry was to Detroit. When a city loses its major industry, the city cannot continue to thrive until it finds a new one. The beautiful thing about Washington, D.C. is our major industry is the federal government. As we know, by the time they're going out of business, the rest of y'all have been hurting for a while. And the other thing is because of our beautiful monuments and
historic relevance,
and our exquisite museums, and everything, all of the treasures Washington D.C. has to offer.
We are a destination city,
that I loved, and that part of the reason why I decided of all the cities, because she mentioned I'm an EMT. We are in demand literally everywhere in the world.
That's right.
Not only could I work anywhere in the United States I wanted to, not only could I make $35 an hour up in New York City, or I could move to St. Louis, or I could move to Atlanta, anywhere I want to go. I could go to other countries. If I wanted to live in Cameroon or China or France, I could do it. And this job is...
I'm sorry, I winced because this list would have put you under the powers of Cuomo, de Blasio, and it went downhill from there. So.
Right, but admittedly, we have Muriel, and at least he doesn't have Cuomo's charming New York accent.
You were we were moving towards Merkel territory. I was getting worried for you.
Right. Well, I do speak German. I might go to Berlin if this doesn't work out. But the fact is that government and tourism, two powerful industries, and the world is beating our door down here. We do not need to have poverty. We have so much ambient wealth, and we do not need to be engaging, for instance, in this sort of top-down managing where the city plays favorites, jacks up the regulations, jacks up the prices, and then give subsidies so only their friends can compete here, where there's no reason to give subsidies. Baltimore should be giving subsidies. They should be saying, yeah, come down here. We'll exempt you from city taxes for 10 years. Just, employ people, right? Because as soon as they're employed, you've got income tax, you've got sales tax, you've got their property tax because they're starting to build and improve their properties, right? If I were Baltimore, I would have a 10-year corporate tax holiday on any business that moved in there because they just have space to fill. DC doesn't, except here. Why? Because we have a culture here where the people in elected office say, what's in it for me? Right. And if we want to turn this district around, and this is what I've been telling people as I've been going out and knocking on doors and making these connections, is saying, look, you put me on council, you are going to have somebody, or well, not on council, on the commission, you're going to have somebody on that commission that if somebody walks in and says, hey, I want to open a business, what I'm going to say to them is, great. What's the idea? How can I help? Yep. Now, maybe they don't have any business experience. That's great. That's cool. I've never run for office before, right? We're all doing things, right? But if you have something to contribute and you want to rent out one of our storefronts, I want you here, right? And especially if you live here, I don't want people who are living here to feel like they have to move halfway across the country in order to earn a decent living.
Right. Or start a dream, open a business of their own, become their own boss. We want those opportunities right here in the community.
I don't want there to be an attitude of, oh, well, we have to worship at the altar of Jeff Bezos if we're going to have good jobs in this area. No, we'll make our own jobs. We'll make our own jobs. We just need to get out of people's way, and we just need to support them. And I'm saying, hey, if you are especially a local resident who wants to open a business here, I will find out what it takes, what it takes for your business model to be viable. I will find I'll connect you to people I know, and I've said, if you're anything except a liquor store, because we got way too many of those,
right? We do.
And by the time we fill out these other businesses, people have something other to do than drink, right? But I've been saying, I want you here. I want you filling out this space. I want you filling out these big, beautiful, historic properties that we have. That's one thing. Another thing I'm saying is that I want people to be able to settle here in Washington, D.C. If you go into D.C., it's developing a culture not unlike a large international airport where you have a lot of chain stores and everybody's there for 10 minutes, right? And that's the culture in D.C., and that's what the city policy is built around. The city policy is...
And that's why it doesn't fit with folks like us that live east of the river, because as you know, most of our neighbors and your potential constituents are people who've lived here sometimes many years, sometimes their whole life.
Well, this is actually in many ways this is the Alamo stand of old Washington, because people don't realize this, that there is such a thing as Washingtonian culture. Washington is not merely a neutral meeting ground where all of the states come together. There is a deep culture here. I've met people, again, just out in the neighborhood, who are 5th, 6th, 7th generation Washingtonians. I've met individuals who are from the original settlers of Uniontown. Uniontown, because at the time, the city of Washington did not actually take up the entire District of Columbia. So you also had the town of Georgetown, and you had Uniontown, and they had their own mayors. And Uniontown was founded as a housing development for recently emancipated slaves in the aftermath of the Civil War. That setup, especially with such eminent figures as Frederick Douglass coming to make their homes here, made DC very attractive to the freedmen of the Reconstruction era. And that is how DC became Chocolate City. That is how DC became the blackest major city in the United States. And here in Ward 7 and 8 is just about the last of it. And that's something that we run the risk of losing. And if these city policies keep up, we are going to lose that. And that, and my attitude is this, because obviously, look, I moved here. I was raised in Virginia. I'm a redneck from the South. It's okay. Because I'm exemplifying an immigration model that I have been preaching ever since 2016, which is when you move somewhere, you assimilate and you become invested in your community. That is the message that I have advocated for individuals who are switching countries, but I also advocated for people who are switching towns. So when you show up, your attitude, right? When I went and I changed my registration over and I got that nice, beautiful DC license.
Yep.
And I finally had a halfway decent picture that didn't have me with this weird scraggly teenage beard.
Yep.
This is my neighborhood. Y'all's successes are my successes. Y'all's problems are my problems.
And they really are.
And when crime goes up and gunshots go up off in the middle of the night, I hear them too. When trash piles up, it gets in my way too. Yep. Right? When people overdose on Main Street, right? That is the main street where I go to get my hair cut, where I do as much of my shopping as I can, because unfortunately we do not have many available stores. I would like to be able to take care of all of my shopping just by walking down the hill. Unfortunately, I can't. The only grocery store we have is an overpriced half-stock Safeway.
I had to get luck during the coronavirus.
Oh yes, it was quite funny.
I want to say this. What I want to add to this, because we've kind of given everyone an idea, and I think we'll just kind of state it out. We live in almost a predominantly 95%
between 90 and 95% black
community.
Yeah,
and the people who will be voting for you are predominantly black people, are they not?
It is mathematically impossible winning the plurality of the black vote.
So now this is what I find interesting, and this is what makes me excited about Isaac's race, and excited about what we need to be doing in urban politics, and watching it happen right here in front of me is exciting. We need to go back to the policies of issues, of policy platforms, not partisan platforms, getting people the things they need. We have so much agreement when we start talking about policy, and you're finding that in so many conversations. So explain to people what you're finding is you're going out in this very black community as a white man who wants to run for office and wants to represent folks. You're finding that policies again and again are far more important than identity.
Right. Well, and look, at the end of the day, and, and let's find, let's pick on white people for a moment. Let's find the most egregious white racist you possibly can. I'm talking like a Richard Spencer or David Duke or one of those ilk, okay? If you sat him down and you said, would you rather be stuck with a black person you can trust, who doesn't lie to you, right, who treats you decent, or a white person who's a grifter and a snake, who's going to backstab you, who's looking to backstab you? They would say that that's a rare occurrence.
Sure.
But they would not, but generally speaking, I cannot think of anybody that overall believes that race is the most important thing. And I was talking on this earlier about the crime in the neighborhood affects me too. The poverty in the neighborhood affects me too. My issues are the issues of the community, because I live here and I have to live with the decisions that the city makes and the decisions that other people make. And
this is why your campaign is actually resonating with people.
And when you go around, right, and you say, you know what? We enable our drug addicts and we don't help them. And we watch the same people overdose over and over and over again. And then we say, well, there's a laundromat where nobody does laundry. Now, I'm going to pick on the mayor because I never miss an opportunity to call out. I'm not going to call her any names. I'm running for office. I have to be a good boy now. If I repeated what my barber said about her, I would be probably permanently banned from social media.
Sure.
It's okay. He's black. So Zuckerberg enforces different rules. But here's the deal. We have a drug map. We have an open air drug market.
Yep.
Now, downtown in Washington, D.C., we have a street named Black Lives Matter Plaza. It's a beautiful street. It's the one that leads right up to the White House. And there's this big, beautiful mural, right? Black Lives Matter stretched out along 4 lanes or 6 lanes. It's huge. You can see it from the sky.
From the sky.
And I went down there and I counted the police cars. And there were 8 police cars, a minimum of 16 officers on 24-hour detail protecting that mural. Well, you know what? I think for 16 police officers, I could shut down the open-air drug clinic that has killed dozens of the city's black residents and probably a few of the white ones too. Right? We have here an immediate threat to black life.
Yep.
But that the city will not release resources into controlling. And in doing so, they are killing people where me and Suzzanne live. We had a mass shooting a month and a half ago.
Yeah.
We had a block party and 4 gangsters settling some beef that I don't know and don't really care about.
Yeah.
Went to that party, 4 of them, pulled out their guns and fired 178 shell casings into the crowd, killing a young father by the name of Christopher Brown, putting several more, including an off-duty Metro police officer, in critical condition. We have 4 mass shooters that are walking the streets of DC who have not faced arrest, who have not been charged.
And what did the mayor say when people questioned why she didn't shut down the party? When 31 people called 911 talking about this is an illegal party that is getting out of control. What did the mayor say?
Well, she said we can't control it. Well, there was that.
It's just going to make the situation worse if we go in and shut down the party. Well, it didn't. It made it much worse for young Christopher Brown and his family, who now lost their
2 orphaned children. Yeah. And furthermore, like I said, we have 4 mass shooters who are walking around Washington, D.C.
Yep.
And that is right. They took a black life, and they potentially would have taken many more if the bullets frankly, if they had been better aimed.
Yeah. And just today we had a report of men in a silver sedan going around armed with illegal firearms. And right here in Anacostia, we had just recently the shooting of Deon Kay by police officers because he was a young man, 18 years old, brandishing a firearm as he was running from police. Now, one of the things that becomes, people love to I agree, I have no problems with the officer doing what he needed to do for his job, but I got a lot of problems with the situation that's our young men and our young women in situations where they can get shot by the police. We shouldn't have our young people out here with guns. We shouldn't be worried about a silver sedan going around with illegal firearms. We should be worrying about how we get these kids jobs, how we get these kids involved in their communities, how we get these kids back on the right path and out of a life of crime. And that shuts down, having everything shut down, cutting down our restaurant industry, destroying 40% of our business is not going to do that. And these kids are now on the streets riding bikes, riding motorcycles, causing ruckus.
Shut down the schools.
And it's going to get worse and worse.
Right. Everything that helps you grow up and be successful. And look, this is the thing I'll say about Deon Kay. Right. The fact is that murder or that death is being investigated. And even and this is and I've talked about procedure or whatever about procedural reforms the district can make, because as we all know, it is very swampy there on City Hall, and it might be good to get maybe a Maryland or Virginia prosecutor to go in and look into these cases where you have death by cop, so that you have somebody who's not affected by the local city politics who can decide whether or not there should be charges here. I think that that's reasonable. But the fact is that this is going to get looked into. Yeah. But murders happen. People die here all the time, and those don't get looked into. Right. If you look at unsolved murders in Washington, D.C., you will find the overwhelming majority are Black victims. Overwhelmingly. And
by overwhelmingly, you mean all of the unsolved murders?
I hear there's one other.
There's one white guy.
There might be 2 now, but that murder's only 3 weeks old, so we still have time.
So there's one new white guy.
There's one new white guy.
And then the old guy, which, as we know, is one Seth Rich.
Right. That's what I'm saying. For Seth Rich, for the longest time, was the only white man in D.C. who couldn't get his murder solved.
I'm sorry, Seth.
It's unfortunate. But the fact is that you can look at the city's policy and you can tell that they don't care what happens to people in Anacostia. And I know they don't care, because everybody in Anacostia tells me this. And I have gotten a positive response, again, really just by showing up and saying, hey, here, why don't we take some of those police that are protecting that silly mural and using them to shut down the drug market? That is not only through the drugs and the overdoses that are killing our neighbors, killing Washingtonians, is fueling gang violence and gang culture, which is providing a source of additional death. going around and saying, you know what, let's reopen our businesses.
Yep.
Let's reopen our schools. Let's get the city moving again. Let's take advantage of all of the assets we have here so that people can start earning some money, right? I got a number a few months ago from stating that there were 27,000 DC households that had eviction paperwork filed against them. Here's the thing, that number's 3 months old.
Yeah.
I haven't gotten a new number. Because I have a friend and she's got friends in the city government. Yeah. Because this is not a number that they want to publish.
Correct. They don't want you to know that 27,000 families are at risk of losing
we only have 600,
and the only thing protecting them is some order from the mayor.
Right. That order has been extended out until January. And great. We have an eviction moratorium. I think there should be an eviction moratorium. The mayor made it illegal for you to work and earn a living. Yeah. Right, you shouldn't be kicked out of your home because the mayor thought that she would make it illegal for you to work and earn a living. But the fact is that debt's still piling up, and you have people that have 3 months, 4 months, 6 months, a year of debt that they haven't been able to pay. Yep. And when that moratorium comes up, they're going to need to pay it, and they still don't have any way of making money. They're not making any money. Right. And so, if we don't restore the jobs, and if we do not help people take control of their own economic destinies, look, I can talk about moratoriums, I can talk about aid, I can talk about the government writing stimulus checks. These are all great and beautiful things, but at the end of the day, if your tub is overflowing, you don't mop the floor, you turn off the spigot. Right? You stop. What you do is when you're trying to solve a major problem, you start with the root of that problem. In this case, the root of the problem
is the shutdown.
Is that we are a tourism-dependent town. We are a tourism-dependent city. This is what employs our poor and our working class. Yep. This is what allows the poor and working class people to continue to live here.
The restaurant industry, the hospitality industry. This is where a great number of our residents, people who live in the city, not the people who commute to work for the Supreme Court and the senators and all that, not these people, the people who work at the restaurants, who work at the hotels, who work at the venues, who work, drive the buses, these people live here.
Right. And that's the foundation. And then the other thing is that, it is, look, I've got a neighbor. He lives up on the hill and he wanted to put an addition on the back of his house. And he hired a contractor because you have to go and you have to get that approved. And that contractor asked him for money for cake and soda. And you may be wondering, what does the person going to the office to file your paperwork to get your housing expansion approved care about cake and soda? And the reason is because they said, oh, we need to buy this because when we show up at the office, this is how we get your paperwork put on the top of the pile. This is how corrupt the city is. This is how crazy the process has become. And this is the attitude of people in the city government. It is a regime of vampires. People who produce nothing and feed on the blood of the living. And what we need is we need to humanize the DC government. Yeah. Right? Again, like I said, I'm earning my own money. And look,
his own, what was it, cupcakes?
Yeah, I can buy my own damn cake. Ain't nobody buying me cake. Yeah. And this is sad.
To be fair, if you brought me cake, I'll put your comments about other people's comments. I'm just saying, right, you can buy me with cake, but I'm not a government official. So.
Right. Private citizen cake bribery is appropriate. People acting on behalf of the municipal authority here in Washington, D.C. It is not. And that being said, if we, so we should be promoting local businesses. We should aggressively lower our DC tax burden, because our tax burden is squeezing out our middle class and our old stock community.
Certainly.
And
will continue to affect home
ownership. And they're pushing it up, right? And the thing is the mayor, that cowardly, doesn't have the courage to raise taxes right now, even though she knows we're heading towards a massive deficit that she can't sustain.
That's right.
And she's not willing to do rational things like cut the DC trolley car $119 million for a trolley car that runs for less than a mile and nobody rides.
Right. So instead, we're still spending ridiculous things on budget.
She's cutting things like shelters for domestic violence victims, right? And closing those down and closing down halfway houses. And how is she raising the money? She wants to lower the standard speed limit in the district to 20 miles an hour and triple the number of traffic cameras. Now, let me tell you, I don't know how much, y'all, all 6 of you currently watching, however many of you will find this thing later.
Yeah.
I don't know how much money you're making, but you have to be pretty comfortable before you can take a $200 fine and be like, no biggie.
Yeah. And
if you're getting hit by these a lot, even if you are pretty comfortable, and I mean in the 6-figure range, $1,000 or $2,000 that would add up is going to be a problem for you. And imagine now maybe you only make 40 grand a year. And maybe, like the other members of your household bring in another 20 grand. So maybe you've got 3 people making 60 grand a year. $200, and let's say it's late, right? You don't pay it on time. Now it's $400. This is highway robbery of DC's poor and working class.
Which only be unnecessary if we were earning the tax revenue that we do through business tax, through sales tax, through liquor taxes, through all of the normal things that the city earns revenue through when businesses are open. Right. So, Isaac, can you tell people and I want to encourage people, you can do this anywhere around the country. If you want to contribute to Isaac's campaign and support his mission to bring sensible policies right here to Anacostia, and certainly the values that we hold most dear about this country, which is responsible citizen governance. That's what we believe in this movement, and that's what Isaac is bringing right here with his campaign. If you want to support him, how do they do that, Isaac?
So I have a website that does accept donations. I'll let you know a little funny thing about our local elections. I can not legally accept more than $25 from each of you.
Very low amount.
It was funny. I put on a fundraiser recently, and I had people who were offended that they wrote me like $300 checks despite my best effort to warn everybody, and they were offended that I could only take 25 and that I only took 25. And they almost felt like I was insulting them. And it's like, no, it's the city. It's the city. Just bear with me. I'm sorry.
Yep.
I'm governed by morons. I'm trying to replace them.
Yeah.
But the fact is that I have a website. We'll be putting the link down in the comments.
Yep.
Which is isaacsmith.nationbuilder.com or Isaac Smith DC. isaacsmithDC.nationbuilder.com/donations.
And we're going to put that in the comments. That should have come up. Isaac Smith.
Boom.
Boom, boom, boom. And we'll show that to everybody here.
Right.
Isaac Smith DC.nationbuilder.com/donations.
And I will leave you with one more piece of good news, because a very dear friend of ours, you know her down in Georgia, Miss Sharia, who is a high rolling Politico down in Georgia. She actually commissioned a poll to be done on this ANC race. This is, to my knowledge,
she was here in DC.
She commissioned. We
have the greatest patriots. They get stuff done.
But here's the thing: this is the only ANC race in the District of Columbia that actually has polling data done specifically on it. And while it is a hyper local race and nonpartisan, and a lot of people don't even know what's going on, and the vast majority of voters are undecided, she clocked among current voters 20% were planning on voting for me, compared to 5% for my opponent Robin McKinney and 1% for my other opponent Miss Ford. So if this trend keeps up, I am looking forward to a landslide victory this fall. And I am looking forward to delivering the Frederick Douglass constituency back to the party that he himself helped found. He is one of the charter members of the District of Columbia Republican Party, and we are hoping not only to honor his partisan affiliation, but we are hoping to honor his belief in equal protection under the law, fair treatment, honest dealing, personal responsibility, and class mobility.
That's right.
And that is what we are trying to bring to the nation's capital, and we are trying to turn, and we are going to turn the District of Columbia from being an embarrassment to the country to being a model city that all cities throughout the nation will seek to emulate.
Let me see if I typed it wrong. I'm trying to Isaac.
Isn't this always so much fun?
Isaac Smith DC nationbuilder.com/donations. We'll get the link right. Go to Isaac Smith. You know, and frankly, if you just Google Isaac Smith Nation Builder, it'll probably come up. But we'll share the link on my page.
We will share the link,
and you'll be able to connect up with that. But yeah, this is what we have today, you guys. Isaac, thank you for coming on the show. Thank you for talking to everybody about what you're doing and for running and not only running to support our principles, but to make my neighborhood right where I live a better place to live. And that is very personally appropriate and lovely and wonderful to me. I love it.
Yep. And if I can make one last notion, the races that actually matter more in affecting your day-to-day life are the most local ones. If you care about about indoctrination in schools and what the teachers are pushing, you run for school board. They're your schools, your children go to them. Yep. Maybe you're a student, maybe you're an 18-year-old high school senior who just had to live through those schools. Yep. You have every reason in the world to run for school board. Run for county council. They decide what the police funding is, where the roads are built, right? What monuments stand in downtown, right? What holidays are observed. So all of these things that everybody cares about, local issues. If you are a reasonable person who's willing to put in the effort, you can be a viable local candidate. You just have to go out. Hi, my name's Isaac Smith. I'm your neighbor. Let me tell you what I want to do to make this a better place.
It's just that some of you guys do the work, put in the groundwork, promises made, promises kept. Be the kind of citizen governance that you want in a representative. And people are going to respond to that, and they are right now. And so thank you for doing all that. And we're going to get the link out to folks so that they can support what you're doing. And that is our show for today, folks. Wow. That was a lot. It was awesome. I want to thank both my guests, Ryan, Lady MAGA USA, and, of course, Isaac Smith. And I want to thank you guys for all tuning in. I want to thank Chris McDonald, our Monkin in the room, supporting us, sharing the links, keeping track of all the Patriots. We couldn't do it without you, Chris. It's so important to have somebody helping out along the way. And we're going to be back, obviously, Wednesday. We're going to be back Wednesday. There's some interesting things going on this week. Of course, I do my shows Tuesdays and Thursdays on the Exceptional Conservative Network or www.tecntv.com. This week, Pastor Greg Locke is actually going to be in town. So we might be doing one of those shows live from his event. So we're going to find out. Everything's always going on in the district. We got a lot of work to do. We're working very hard to continue to reelect the president, to get back the House. And now we're dealing with this Supreme Court thing. But you know what? We got to stay focused on the election because that's going to be the most important thing. As we know, President Trump is going to win. He is going to make this pick and probably two more picks in who knows? Who knows? But we need to make sure we get that election won, and we need to give him the House support so that we can get this agenda passed. So get back to work. Stop watching Suzzanne Monk. Watch her again tomorrow. We'll be back then. Thank you guys. Right. Until next time, Suzzanne Monk.
Night, everybody.
Come for now.